Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to today's episode of the Daily Packers Post, where we bring you in-depth videos on your Green Bay Packers. We have new episodes dropping every day, Monday through Friday, so hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, visit our website at thepackerspost.com for in-depth articles on your Packers. Well, the Packers' 2025 season is over, and the Packers' playoff loss was more of the same old problems. It came to a painful but appropriate finish Saturday night in Chicago. The Packers led 21-3 at halftime and then watched it all fall apart in the second half. Untimely mistakes on special teams, foolish penalties, being out-coached in the second half. In other words, this team remained true to its identity all season long. This is the way they've been losing all year, and this is one team, the one team that the Packers could not overcome all season long was ultimately themselves. This playoff loss was more of the same old problems. The first half was outstanding. The offense scored touchdowns on each of their first three drives. That included the first two drives, 85 yards, 87 yards. Matt LaFleur's play calling was great. He schemed things up for Jordan Love. Love threw for 139 yards and 3 touchdowns. It started right away. First play, jet sweep, Jaden Reed, 13 yards, and that got the offense moving. Receivers were open and making plays. Romeo Doubs had a great game. They always seem to find him in key moments. Matthew Golden in the second half finally scored his first career touchdown. And it just seemed like the Packers were moving the ball. In the first half, touchdown, 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 missed field goal at the end of the half from 55 yards out. It was almost a perfect half. And defensively, the Bears were limited to just 122 yards and 6 first downs at halftime. Green Bay kept coming up with key fourth down stops on defense, and they held the Bears' running game in check. It looked like Green Bay was in control, and believe it or not, up 18 points. The Packers were going to receive the second half kickoff, and had they scored on that first drive, they had a chance to put the game away right then and there, except they never did. After halftime, things fell apart offensively. In the third quarter, the Packers had 3 possessions. They picked up only 1 first down and gained just 29 yards. It was punt, punt, punt. And in the first drive of the fourth quarter, they punted again. The Bears coaching staff made adjustments in the second half, and Matt LaFleur and the Packers coaching staff never managed to counter-adjust. Defensively, at least at first, the Packers limited the Bears' running game. They shut down the Bears in the red zone. And in the second half, the Bears had 2 field goals and then 1 interception in the red zone on their first 3 drives. So the Packers were still up 21-9, but that's where things fell apart. The Bears scored on their final 3 drives, not just field goals, touchdowns. And even when Green Bay responded and got 1 touchdown, the Matthew Golden score I mentioned earlier, the defense could not answer. Caleb Williams was inconsistent, but when it mattered most, he came through in the clutch, and the Packers defense could not get a stop when they needed it most. Everyone on that Packers sideline had to have a feeling of deja vu as they gradually watched this game slip away. And look, special teams remains a big problem for this Packers team. They allowed a 37-yard punt return by Devin Duvernay. Josh Jacobs returned a kickoff return, ran it back 33 yards and fumbled. Thankfully, the Packers did recover. Brandon McManus missed 2 field goals and an extra point. The first miss from 55 yards away right before the half. That's not a big deal, but missing an extra point and then a 44-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. Those 4 points in a game you lose by 4 points speak volumes. And before that 44-yard missed field goal, the Packers took a delay of game penalty, which only made it tougher for McManus. Had it been a 39-yard try, he might have actually made that. And if the Packers had made the extra point, they would have still only needed a field goal to force overtime at the end of the game. Bottom line, Rich Bisaccia should not be back as Packers special teams coach, whether Matt LaFleur returns or not. Special teams just keeps hurting the Packers. And then there were the penalties and the careless mistakes. Keyshawn Nixon taking another personal foul for jumping on the pile after the whistle. That cost the Packers 15 yards. Rasheed Walker in what could be his final game as a Packer. A holding penalty and a false start, with the second one being during the critical final drive. Twice, Jordan Love called for intentional grounding, although one of them, I think, was a mistake, a questionable call, but still, getting out of your own way when the game is on the line remains a problem for this team. Bottom line, there's a lack of growth here. A championship team doesn't blow an 18-point halftime lead in the playoffs or lose twice to their biggest rivals with these disastrous finishes and big comebacks allowed. The Packers did overcome injuries to some key players and other obstacles to reach the playoffs, but this team's inability to grow and make progress and address the same problems that have hurt them not just this year, but in the previous few years under Matt LaFleur is a big red flag. Ed Policy now has some tough decisions to make about LaFleur's future and whether or not he can get more out of this team or if this is his ceiling as a coach, a team that is good but cannot become great. Ultimately, the way this team lost this game was the way they lost too many games all season long, and that doesn't bode well. And now a long and critical offseason has begun. Check out our website at thepackerspost.com for in-depth articles on the Packers. Here on YouTube, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll be here all off season long, so make sure you stay with us through that. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, go Pack Go.